Hi guys, hi briefy people, you're welcome back to my channel. So this is the ongoing drama between Silverbird and their queens. You guys know that Silverbird are the franchise holders of Miss World Nigeria and Miss Universe Nigeria. Okay, so there's been an history, a very not so good how would I put it, like a not so good history between Silverbird and their queens, because a lot of persons have expressed their displeasure with the way that they treat their queens. All right, when it comes to support, when it comes to when it comes to generally support um, and financial, when it comes to support and managing their queens and preparing their queens for international competitions, there's always a trajectory of you know just the same kind of story, lack of support, lack of preparation of their queens for international competitions. And aside from the fact that crowned they crown these ladies close to the international competitions, they don't give them that much needed support. Okay, so I know that we've been clamoring for this for a long time now, until last year when they did they went out of their comfort zone to help Chinima achieve the first runner up position in Mexico. Okay, so that was when we thought, oh, they've changed and all that. But aside from that, we've seen that this change is not it's not going to be for long, because, of course, they've not totally embraced the much needed change that is needed for them to advance the pageant to the desired level that we want. Because aside from the fact that the queens come out to express their anger towards the organization, all pageant fans as well are not really happy, and they are voicing out their frustration at the organization. So in the past, we've had queens come out, aside from Nyekachi. The other queens that have come out, that have expressed their displeasure at the way they were being treated by the organization. Aside from Nyekachi, Michelle also made mention of that. Michelle was Miss Universe Nigeria 2023. You guys know what happened when she went to El Salvador. It was a flop, and she blamed it on lack of preparation, lack of. We all know where she was pointing to, although she was not expressly stating it, but she was like she was going to give us the full gist, which up till now she has not done so. Because I remember when she mentioned it in one of her Instagram posts that she was going to give us the full gist, but up till now Michelle has not given us the full gist as to how she flopped in what happened that made her flop in El Salvador. All right, you guys remember that it was a sad situation when the her preliminary gown that she wore for the finals was not up to standard. Okay, so anyway, let me not talk about the story. That's a story for another day. But I feel like, aside from Yakachi, Michelle also complained. Some other queens too complained, but it was not as openly. It was not openly expressed like the way Yakachi did hers. So I think that you guys should not entirely feel like um, entirely blame these ladies. I feel like the organization themselves, they have not done what they ought to do when it comes to preparing their queens for international competitions. And at this point, I think that it's now like a norm that the queens themselves, when after being crowned, they have to go and solicit for funds, solicit for support. So if you're not coming from a rich home or a rich background, it's going to be difficult for you to prepare for international competitions. And I believe that is why the organization always crowns ladies from well-to-do backgrounds. Okay, so if you watch you watch the way the way they crown their ladies, they also always go for ladies that come from wealthy backgrounds. And even at that, the queens themselves, they don't really do well internationally. And I feel like when you have an organization that refuse to take publicity very seriously, that is what happens at the end of the day. So, what is the organization doing towards this? So, towards garnering support for their queens. They have a television station, they have a radio station. What are they doing with those platforms, to generate support for the queens? It's so sad. Now let's come to Chidinma's issue. You guys notice that aside from the charity works that she did immediately after she was crowned. Okay, in this picture you see her visiting the internally displaced camp in Abuja, where she shared some food items and some other things. That was shortly after she was crowned. Aside from this particular charity work that we saw, that Chidinma did after her reign, after her crowning rather. What else has she done? Even as she went on to be crowned the first runner up and automatically Miss Universe Africa and Oceania. What charity work has she done in Nigeria and in Africa? Okay, let's forget about the global stage. Here in Nigeria, as an ambassador of Miss Universe, she ought to carry out some charity works. You know, also um funded, or rather, yeah, funded by the Miss Universe organization, and also guided by the Silverbird organization. What charity works has Chidima undergone since her return from Mexico, okay, with the title of Miss Africa, Miss Universe Africa and Oceania. You guys should, for me personally, I feel like that's one of the major reasons I feel she wasn't really happy with the organization, because she has not really been busy aside from going to Philippines for the Miss Universe Philippines competition, and and some other brand endorsement deals that she did for Miss Universe. What other charity works did she carry out here in Nigeria? And I was expecting her to visit other African countries, being the ambassador for Miss Universe in Africa. I don't think she ever visited any other African country aside from the Philippines. I don't know if you guys understand me. For you guys that are watching, if you have if you have a contrary, or if you think she visited another country, comment down below. But personally, throughout her reign, because right now she's gradually getting to the end of her reign as Miss Universe Nigeria, and also gradually getting to the end of her reign as Miss Universe Africa and Oceania. What charitable works has Chidinma undergone during these past months that she reigned? Like seriously, none, none. I don't know of any, because I've been going through her FYP and her posts on Instagram, or her itinerary. She has not really traveled. She has not done anything. So is it that the title is just for the books, or for what? Because I don't understand. The organization ought to have planned out some activities for her. And that's what I'm s- what I what, that's what I that's the reason why I'm expressing my displeasure at the way the organization handles their queens. You give this girl the platform and you don't give them itinerary, you don't give them jobs to do, you don't give them anything to do. So they tend to be bored, and and it's kind of frustrating. It's kind of frustrating because at the end of the day, they end their reign without making an impact. If they're not moved to have a foundation, or they're not moved to get some to have a charitable works, and it without the support of the organization, it's just like they're just it's just like it's more or less that they ended their reign without achieving, or without making an impact, like I said before. So I think at this point, the organization, they tend to abandon their queens after crowning and after the international competitions, and which I think needs to change. You need to give these girls itinerary, give them what to do, fund their charitable work, support them throughout, in carrying out their charitable works, and I feel like that is what the beauty pageant is all about. Okay, so guys, what do you think about this particular issue? comment down below, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.